The space station Orvalis floated in the darkness between three star systems. It was a place where aliens from 100 different worlds came to trade, to talk, and to hide. Ships of every shape and size docked at its ports. Creatures that walked on 2 legs, 4 legs, or no legs at all moved through its wide corridors. It was loud. It was crowded. It was the perfect place for a man who wanted to disappear. Kang Tae-ho walked through the market with his hands in his pockets. He was 46 years old. His hair was gray at the sides. A long scar ran from his left eyebrow down to his cheek. He wore simple clothes, the kind a cargo hauler would wear. Nothing special, nothing to notice. But the aliens noticed him anyway. A group of tall, blue-skinned traders stopped talking when he passed. They looked at the floor. A small creature with too many eyes quickly moved to the other side of the corridor. 2 security guards, their bodies covered in hard shells, stepped back to let him pass, even though the corridor was wide enough for 10 people. Tae-ho did not look at any of them. He just kept walking. Behind him, a young woman with short black hair struggled to keep up. Her name was Yuna, and she was 24 years old. She had worked as an engineer on Tae-ho's cargo ship for 6 months now. She was smart, she was curious, and she had questions that Tae-ho never answered. "Captain," she said, walking faster to reach his side. "Did you see that? Those traders. They looked scared of you." "They were not scared," Tae-ho said. His voice was low and calm. "They were being polite." "That was not polite. That was fear." Yuna looked back at the traders who were now whispering to each other. "What did you do to make aliens afraid of you?" Tae-ho did not answer. He turned into a smaller corridor that led to the docking area. Yuna sighed. This was always how it went. She would ask questions. He would stay silent. In 6 months, she had learned almost nothing about her captain's past. She knew he had been a soldier once. She knew he had fought in some war. But the details were locked away behind his cold, quiet face. They reached their ship, a small cargo vessel called the Quiet Moon. It was old, but well-maintained. Tae-ho took care of it the way some people take care of their children. Yuna went to check the engine, while Tae-ho headed to the bridge to review their next delivery. An hour later, they had a visitor. Her name was Vel. She was a sketh, an insect-like species with 4 arms and large, dark eyes. She was a merchant who wanted to hire them to transport medical supplies to a colony in the outer systems. Good pay, simple job. Yuna handled the negotiation, while Tae-ho sat in the corner, reading a data pad. Vel seemed nervous, but Yuna thought that was just how sketh people acted. They were always clicking their mandibles and moving their hands. "The payment will be transferred when you arrive," Vel said. "Half now, half on delivery. Is this acceptable?" "That works for us," Yuna said with a smile. "We can leave tomorrow morning." "Good, good." Vel's dark eyes moved to the corner of the room. To Tae-ho. "I must ask, your captain, what is his name?" Yuna glanced at Tae-ho. He was still reading, not paying attention. "His name is Kang Tae-ho." "Why?" Vel's entire body went still. Her 4 arms stopped moving. Her mandibles clicked once, twice, then stopped. For a long moment, she did not breathe. "Vel," Yuna leaned forward. "Are you okay?" "Kang Tae-ho," Vel whispered. "The human from Reach 7. Yuna frowned. "Reach 7? What is that?" But Vel was already backing toward the door. Her legs were shaking. Her eyes were fixed on Tae-ho, who had finally looked up from his datapad. "I cannot do this," Vel said. "I cannot be in this room. I am sorry. Find another merchant. I cannot work with him." "Wait!" Yuna stood up. "What are you talking about? He is just a cargo hauler." Vel stopped at the door. She looked at Yuna with something like pity. "You do not know," she said quietly. "You work with him, and you do not know what he is, what he did." She shook her head. "Ask him about Reach 7. Ask him about the 72 hours. Ask him why my people tell stories about him to frighten our children." Then she was gone. The room was silent. Yuna turned slowly to look at Taeho. He had put down his datapad. His face showed nothing. No surprise, no anger, just the same cold, empty expression he always wore. "Captain," Yuna said, "what was she talking about?" "Nothing important. She was terrified of you. She said her people tell stories about you, to children, as warnings." Taeho stood up. "She was exaggerating." "Then explain it to me." Yuna stepped closer. "I have worked for you for 6 months. I have seen how aliens react to you. They do not just respect you, they fear you. Real, deep fear. The kind of fear you feel for monsters." Taeho looked at her for a long moment. His eyes were dark and tired. "Some questions," he said slowly, "are better left unanswered." He walked past her and left the room. Yuna stood alone in the silence. Her heart was beating fast. She had always known there was something different about Taeho, something hidden. But now she was starting to realize that the truth might be bigger and darker than she had ever imagined. That night, she could not sleep. She lay in her small cabin and stared at the ceiling. Reach 7. 72 hours. Stories to frighten children. What could one man do to make an entire alien species afraid? The answer came at midnight. A transmission cut through the silence. Emergency channel. Yuna jumped out of bed and ran to the bridge. Taeho was already there, standing in front of the main screen. His face was hard as stone. On the screen was a message. A distress call from a human colony called New Busan. The message was broken, filled with static, but the words were clear enough. "Under attack. Drath Dominion forces. Hundreds dead. Please, anyone, we need help." The message repeated, over and over. A desperate cry into the darkness of space. Yuna looked at Taeho. His hands were clenched into fists. A muscle in his jaw was twitching. For the first time since she had known him, she saw something in his eyes. Not fear, not anger, pain. "The Drath Dominion," she whispered. "I have heard of them. They are conquerors. They destroy colonies for fun." Taeho said nothing. He walked to the navigation console and began entering new coordinates. "Captain, what are you doing?" "Changing course." "To New Busan? That is a war zone. We are a cargo ship, not a military vessel." Taeho turned to look at her. And in that moment, Yuna saw something change in him. The tired old cargo hauler was gone. In his place stood something else. Something harder. Something dangerous. "I know exactly what we are," he said. "And I know exactly what I am." He turned back to the console and finished entering the coordinates. The quiet moon changed direction. It flew toward the darkness, toward the battle, toward the past that Kang Taeho had tried so hard to bury. And somewhere in the ship, Yuna whispered a single word. Reach 7. She did not know what it meant, but she knew she was about to find out. 15 years ago, Kang Taeho was a different man. He was 29 years old. His hair was black, his face had no scars, he smiled sometimes, he laughed sometimes. He was a sergeant in the United Earth Defense Corps, stationed at a small colony called Reach 7, on the edge of human space. Reach 7 was not an important place. It was a mining colony with 2,000 people, families, workers, children. They lived in a valley surrounded by tall mountains. They had one small military base with 50 soldiers. They thought they were safe. They were wrong. The Drath Dominion came on a Tuesday morning. Their ships filled the sky like a black cloud. Hundreds of them. Thousands of soldiers. The Drath were tall creatures, almost 3 meters high. They had gray skin, 4 eyes, and arms that could crush a human skull with one squeeze. They had conquered 40 worlds. They had never lost a war. Their commander was named Grail. He was old and proud and cruel. He looked at Reach 7 the way a hunter looks at a small animal. "This will be easy," he told his officers. "Humans are soft, weak. We will kill their soldiers, take their resources, and leave nothing behind." The attack began at dawn. The first wave destroyed the military base. Captain Bora, Taiho's commanding officer, died in the first 10 minutes. Half the soldiers died with her. The rest tried to fight, but there were too many enemies. Taiho was leading a patrol in the mountains when the attack started. He heard the explosions. He saw the smoke rising from the valley. He ran back as fast as he could, but by the time he arrived, the battle was already lost. The survivors had retreated into the old mining tunnels beneath the mountains. 2,000 civilians, 12 soldiers. That was all that remained of Reach 7. Taiho found his friend Minji treating the wounded in the darkness of the tunnels. She was a medic. Her hands were covered in blood. "Taiho," she said when she saw him. Her voice was shaking. "Thank God. We thought you were dead. How many soldiers do we have?" 12, including you." Taiho felt his stomach drop. 12 soldiers against thousands. It was impossible. "Reinforcements?" he asked. 3 days away, maybe 4. 3 days. They had to survive for 3 days. Outside, Graal's voice boomed through speakers. He was giving the humans a choice: surrender and die quickly, or hide and die slowly. "Come out," Graal said. "Fighting is useless. Your soldiers are dead. Your base is gone. You are animals waiting for the slaughter. Make it easy for yourselves." No one answered. The humans stayed hidden in the tunnels. Graal smiled. "Very well. We will hunt you." The hunt began. Drath soldiers entered the tunnels in groups of 50. They were confident. They expected to find frightened humans huddled in the darkness. They found something else. Taiho had spent his childhood in these mountains. He knew every tunnel, every cave, every hidden path. And he had learned something in his years as a soldier. Humans were not strong. They were not fast. But they were smart. And they never, ever gave up. He sent the other soldiers to guard the civilians. Then he went into the darkness alone. The first group of Drath soldiers died before they knew what was happening. Taiho had set traps in the narrow tunnels, explosives made from mining equipment, falling rocks, pits covered with thin metal sheets. 20 soldiers died in the first hour. Graal sent more soldiers. They died too. By the end of the first day, 70 Drath soldiers were dead. They had not even seen the enemy who killed them. "What is happening?" Graal demanded. "Where are my soldiers?" No one could answer. The survivors who returned from the tunnels were shaking. They talked about a ghost, a shadow that moved through the darkness, a human who appeared from nowhere, killed without sound, and disappeared again. Graal did not believe in ghosts. He sent 200 soldiers into the tunnels with orders to burn everything. Taiho did not let them burn anything. He attacked them from above, from below, from behind. He used the darkness like a weapon. He used his small size to move through spaces where the big Drath soldiers could not follow. He killed them one by one, group by group. The second day was worse than the first. Taiho had not slept. He had not eaten. His body was screaming with exhaustion. But every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of the civilians hiding deeper in the tunnels. The children, the families. He kept fighting. Minji found him at dawn on the third day. He was sitting against a rock, covered in blood. Most of it was not his own. "You need to rest," she said. "I will rest when they are safe." "Taiho, you are killing yourself." He looked at her. His eyes were empty. "If I stop, they die. All of them. I cannot stop." Minji wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. She bandaged his wounds and gave him water. Then she went back to the civilians. An hour later, she was dead. A group of Drath soldiers had found another entrance to the tunnels. They attacked the civilian shelter. Minji threw herself in front of a child and took the blast meant for him. Tai-Ho heard the explosion. He ran faster than he had ever run before. When he arrived, the Drath soldiers were already dead, killed by the other defenders. But Minji was lying on the ground, her eyes looking at nothing. Something inside Tai-Ho broke. He left the shelter and walked into the main tunnel. He did not hide. He did not use traps. He just walked forward with a rifle in his hands and rage in his heart. The Drath soldiers saw him. They fired their weapons. Tai-Ho did not stop. He moved through them like a storm. Every shot hit its target. Every movement was perfect. He was not fighting like a soldier anymore. He was fighting like something else. Something that had gone beyond fear, beyond pain, beyond humanity. By nightfall on the third day, Tai-Ho had killed over 400 Drath soldiers. 400, one man. The Drath soldiers began to refuse orders. They said the tunnels were cursed. They said the human was not real. He was a demon, a monster, something that could not be killed. Graal had heard enough. He took his personal guard and went into the tunnels himself. He would kill this human and prove that the Drath feared nothing. He found Tai-Ho in a wide cavern, standing in the light of a single lamp, covered in blood, barely able to stand. "You are the ghost," Graal said. "You are just one human. One small, weak human." Tai-Ho looked at him with dead eyes. "I am enough." They fought. Graal was bigger, stronger, faster. He had won 1,000 battles. He had killed 1,000 enemies. But Tai-Ho had something Graal did not understand. He had nothing left to lose. And a human with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous creature in the universe. The fight lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, Graal was dead on the cave floor. His neck was broken. His 4 eyes stared at nothing. Tai-Ho collapsed beside him. 6 hours later, the reinforcements arrived. They found the tunnels filled with Drath bodies. They found 2,000 civilians alive, and they found Kang Tai-Ho, unconscious and barely breathing, surrounded by the enemies he had killed. The story spread across the galaxy. The Drath Dominion retreated from human space. For the first time in their history, they feared an enemy, not human ships, not human armies. One human soldier who had done the impossible. They made rules. Never attack human colonies. Never underestimate human soldiers. And never, ever forget the name Kang Tai-Ho. The other alien species heard the story, too. They passed it down through generations. It became a legend, a warning. One human, 72 hours, 400 dead. This was the truth about Reach 7. This was why aliens trembled at the name of a simple cargo hauler. This was the weight that Kang Tai-Ho carried with him every day of his life. He had saved 2,000 people, but he had lost himself in the darkness of those tunnels, and he had never found his way back. The quiet moon flew through the darkness of space. 2 days until they reached New Busan. 2 days of silence between Tai-Ho and Yuna. Yuna spent those days searching for answers. She looked through old military records. She read news reports from 15 years ago. She watched videos that survivors had recorded in the tunnels of Reach 7. What she found made her sick. She saw images of Drath soldiers dead in the tunnels, dozens of them, hundreds of them. She read reports from military officials who could not believe what had happened. She watched interviews with survivors who cried when they talked about the soldier who saved them. One man, 72 hours, 400 dead. It was impossible. It should have been impossible. But the evidence was everywhere. Kang Tai-Ho was real. What he did was real. Yuna found a video from a Drath news broadcast. It was made shortly after Reach 7. A Drath official was speaking to his people. "The human Kang Tai-Ho is not a soldier," the official said. "He is a warning. He is proof that humans are not the weak creatures we believed them to be. Any commander who attacks human space must remember what happened at Reach 7. One human stopped our army. One human killed our greatest commander. We will not make this mistake again." Yuna turned off the video. Her hands were shaking. She had been working with a legend, eating meals with him, complaining about broken engines to him, and she had never known. That night, she received a transmission. It came from an old alien ship traveling in the opposite direction. The sender identified herself as Elder Thessa of the Orvani people. She was over 300 years old. She had been a diplomat during the time of Reach 7. "I heard your ship is traveling to New Busan," Thessa said. Her voice was soft and ancient. "I heard Kang Taiho is aboard." Yuna looked at the screen. "How do you know that?" "News travels fast when that name is involved. The Drath know he is coming. They are already afraid." "You know what he did?" "At Reach 7? I know everything, child. I was there for the peace negotiations afterward. I saw what remained of the Drath army. I saw what remained of Kang Taeho." Thessa paused. "He was broken, empty. A man who had gone to a place humans are not meant to go. He saved those people, yes, but he lost pieces of himself that he will never get back." Yuna was silent for a moment. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because New Busan is not just under attack. It is under attack by a Drath commander named Vorak. Do you know who Vorak is?" "No." "He is the son of Graal, the commander Taiho killed at Reach 7. Yuna felt cold. "He is coming for revenge." "Yes. This attack is not about the colony. It is about Taiho. Vorak has waited 15 years for this moment. He wants to kill the human who killed his father and restore his family's honor." "Does Taiho know?" "I believe he does. Why else would he fly straight into a battle he cannot win?" The transmission ended. Yuna sat alone in the darkness, thinking about what she had learned. The next morning, she found something else. She was checking the cargo hold when she heard a noise. A small sound, like someone breathing. She grabbed a tool and moved toward the source of the noise. "Come out," she said. "I know you are there." For a moment, nothing happened. Then a figure stepped out from behind a large container. Yuna almost screamed. It was a Drath. He was young, much smaller than the soldiers she had seen in the videos. His gray skin was pale and his 4 eyes were wide with fear. He held his hands up to show he had no weapons. "Please," he said. His voice was shaking. "Please do not kill me. I am not your enemy." Yuna did not lower her tool. "How did you get on this ship?" "I sneaked aboard at Orvalis. I have been hiding for 2 days." The young Drath looked at the floor. "My name is Seojun. I am a defector. I left the Dominion because I could not be part of their cruelty anymore." "Seojun? That is not a Drath name." "I chose it myself. It is a human name. I have studied human culture for many years. I believe your people are not the enemies the Dominion says you are." Yuna studied him. He looked sincere, scared, young, but she could not trust him. "Stay here," she said. "Do not move." She went to find Taiho. When Taiho saw Seojun, his face did not change. He just stood there, looking at the young Drath with those empty eyes. Seojun fell to his knees. "I know who you are," Seojun whispered. "You are Kang Taiho, the ghost of Reach 7. I grew up hearing stories about you. My teachers used your name to make us obey. They said if we failed, the human would come for us." Taiho said nothing. "I am not here to hurt you," Seojun continued. "I am here because I want to help. The attack on New Busan is led by Commander Vorak. He is obsessed with you. He has spent his whole life preparing to kill you. I know his tactics. I know his weaknesses. I can help you stop him." "Why?" Taiho finally spoke. His voice was cold. "Why would a Drath help humans?" Seojun looked up. There were tears in his 4 eyes. "Because my people have done terrible things. We have destroyed worlds, killed millions. And for what? Honor? Pride? I'm tired of it. I want to be part of something better." I want to prove that not all Drath are monsters. Taiho stared at him for a long time. Yuna watched, waiting for him to say something, to do something. Finally, Taiho turned away. You can stay, he said. But if you betray us, I will kill you. Understand? Yes, I understand. Seojin bowed his head. Thank you. That night, the three of them sat in the small kitchen of the Quiet Moon. Seojin told them everything he knew about Vorak and his army. Vorak is different from other Drath commanders, Seojin explained. He does not care about conquest or resources. He only cares about one thing, killing you. He has studied every record from Reach 7. He knows how you fight. He knows how you think. He believes he can defeat you. Can he? Yuna asked. Seojin hesitated. Vorak is the best warrior in the Dominion. He has never lost a battle, but... He looked at Taiho. He has never faced a human like you. Taiho was quiet. His eyes were distant, seeing something far away. This was always going to happen, he said softly. I knew someday the past would find me. I just hoped it would wait a little longer. Yuna reached out and touched his arm. You do not have to do this alone. We are with you. Taiho looked at her. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, something almost like warmth. I have been alone for 15 years, he said. I do not know how to be anything else. Then learn, Yuna said. We have 2 days. That is enough time to learn. Taiho almost smiled. Almost. The Quiet Moon continued toward New Busan, toward the battle, toward the son who wanted revenge and the soldier who had given up everything. But this time, the soldier was not alone. And maybe, just maybe, that would make all the difference. New Busan was burning. From space, Taiho could see the smoke rising from the colony. Explosions flashed like lightning across the surface. Drath warships circled the planet like vultures waiting for their prey to die. The Quiet Moon was small, unarmed. It should have been destroyed the moment it entered the system. But it was not. The Drath ships saw them coming. They scanned the vessel. They identified the crew. And then, slowly, they moved aside. They are letting us through, Yuna said, staring at the screen. Why are they letting us through? Seojin's face was grim. Vorak wants him alive. He wants to kill Taiho himself, in front of everyone. It is about honor. Taiho said nothing. He guided the ship through the gap in the enemy fleet and descended toward the colony. They landed in the ruins of the main city. Buildings were collapsed. Streets were filled with debris. Bodies lay everywhere, human and Drath alike. The fighting had been brutal. As soon as they stepped off the ship, a group of armed humans surrounded them. Their weapons were old. Their faces were tired, but their eyes were hard. A woman stepped forward. She was tall and strong, with black hair tied back and a scar across her chin. She held a rifle like someone who knew how to use it. Who are you? She demanded. How did you get through the Drath fleet? My name is Kang Taiho. I am here to help. The woman's eyes went wide. The soldiers behind her began to whisper. Some of them stepped back. Kang Taiho, the woman repeated slowly. The ghost of Reach 7. Yes. She stared at him for a long moment. Then she lowered her weapon and held out her hand. My name is Hana. I lead what is left of the resistance. We have been waiting for someone to save us. She almost smiled. I did not expect it to be a legend. Taiho shook her hand. I am not a legend. I am just a man. Now tell me what we are dealing with. Hana led them to an underground shelter where the survivors were hiding. There were about 3,000 people, families, children, old people. They looked at Taiho with hope in their eyes. The Drath have been attacking for 5 days, Hana explained. We have lost half our people. Our defenses are almost gone. We have maybe 200 fighters left, and most of them are just civilians with guns. How many Drath soldiers? Taeho asked. At least 5,000. Maybe more. Yuna felt her heart sink. 200 against 5,000. The numbers were impossible, but Taeho just nodded. Show me the battlefield. For the next hour, Taeho studied maps and reports. He walked through the defensive positions. He talked to the fighters. He asked questions about the terrain, the weather, the enemy movements. Seo-jun stayed close to him, providing information about Drath tactics and weaknesses. Vorak likes to attack from 3 directions at once, Seo-jun said. He uses his main force to push forward, while smaller groups flank from the sides. The key is to stop the flanking groups. If you can do that, his main force becomes vulnerable. Taeho nodded. Yuna, can you access the colony's communication systems? I think so. Why? I want to talk to every Drath soldier out there. I want them to know I am here. Hana frowned. Is that wise? You will lose the element of surprise. I do not want surprise, Taeho said. I want fear. An hour later, Taeho's voice echoed across the battlefield. Every Drath soldier heard it. Every Drath commander heard it. This is Kang Taeho. I am the human who killed 400 of your soldiers at Reach 7. I am the human who killed Commander Grail with my bare hands. I am here now, at New Busan. If you attack this colony, you will die. Not some of you, all of you. He paused. You have one chance. Leave now. Go back to your ships and fly away. If you stay, I will do to you what I did to your brothers at Reach 7. I will find you in the darkness. I will hunt you one by one. And when I am finished, there will be nothing left of you but stories. The message ended. For several minutes, nothing happened. The battlefield was silent. Then the Drath attacked. They came from everywhere. Thousands of soldiers pouring through the streets, but something was different. Taeho could see it in the way they moved. They were scared. Their formations were sloppy. Their aim was bad. Fear was doing half the work for him. Now! Taeho shouted. The counterattack began. Yuna had hacked into the colony's defense systems. Old turrets that had been offline for days suddenly came back to life. They fired into the Drath formations, cutting them down. Seo-jun led a small team through the back streets, using his knowledge of Drath tactics to predict where the flanking groups would appear. They set traps and ambushes that killed dozens of enemies. Hana commanded the main defense line. Her fighters were tired and outgunned, but they fought with everything they had. And Taeho was everywhere. He moved through the battlefield like a ghost. One moment he was on the left flank, shooting enemies with perfect accuracy. The next moment he was on the right flank, pulling wounded soldiers to safety. He did not stop. He did not rest. The Drath soldiers began to panic. They had heard the stories. Now they were seeing the truth. The human was real. The human was unstoppable. By nightfall, the first wave was broken. Hundreds of Drath soldiers lay dead. The rest had retreated, but the battle was not over. At midnight, Vorak appeared. He walked through the ruins alone. He was massive, even for a Drath. His armor was black and covered in symbols of honor. His 4 eyes glowed with hatred. Kang Taeho! He roared. Come out and face me! I have waited 15 years for this moment! I will have my revenge! Taeho stepped out of the shadows. He was covered in dust and blood. His body ached with exhaustion. But his eyes were calm. I remember your father, Taeho said. He thought humans were weak. He was wrong. My father was a fool, Vorak growled. He underestimated you. I will not make the same mistake. I know how you fight. I know how you think. You cannot surprise me. I do not need to surprise you, Vorak charged. He was fast, faster than any Drath Taeho had ever faced. His fists came like thunder, each blow powerful enough to shatter stone. Taeho dodged the first strike, the second, the third. He moved with the grace of someone who had spent his whole life learning to survive. But Vorak was relentless. He pressed forward, giving Taiho no space to breathe. "You are old!" Vorak shouted. "You are tired! 15 years ago you were a monster! Now you are just a man!" Taiho stumbled. Vorak's fist caught him in the chest. He flew backward and crashed into a wall. For a moment, everything was dark. Then Taiho heard voices. Yuna shouting his name, Hana calling for backup, Seojin yelling something in Drath. He opened his eyes. Vorak was standing over him, ready to deliver the killing blow. "Any last words, human?" Taiho looked up at him. Blood ran down his face. His body was broken, but in his eyes there was no fear. "Yes," he said. "Look behind you." Vorak turned. Yuna was there, pointing a weapon directly at his head. Hana stood beside her with a dozen fighters. Seojin was with them, his face determined. "You wanted to fight one human," Yuna said, "but there is no such thing as one human. We stand together." Vorak stared at them. For the first time, uncertainty flickered in his 4 eyes. "If you kill me," he said slowly, "my army will destroy this colony." "No," Seojin said, "they will not. I just received a transmission. Your soldiers are retreating. They saw what happened today. They are done fighting humans." Vorak's face twisted with rage. He looked down at Taiho. "This is not over," he snarled. Taiho slowly stood up. He faced Vorak with steady eyes. "Yes," he said, "it is." Before Vorak could react, Taiho moved. One strike to the knee, one strike to the arm. Vorak's weapon clattered to the ground. Vorak fell to his knees, defenseless. Taiho stood over him, ready to kill. One blow would end it. One blow would avenge 15 years of pain. But he did not strike. "I am not going to kill you," Taiho said quietly. "I have killed enough. Your father died because he gave me no choice. But you have a choice. You can spend your life chasing revenge, or you can go back to your people and tell them what you saw here today. Tell them that humans are not weak. Tell them that we do not fight alone. Tell them that we will never stop standing." Vorak stared at him. His eyes were full of confusion and shame. "Why?" he whispered. "Why show me mercy?" Taiho turned away. "Because that is what makes us human." The sun rose over New Busan. It was a soft, golden light that spread across the ruined city. For the first time in 6 days, there were no explosions, no screaming, no death, just silence and the gentle warmth of morning. The Drath fleet was gone. Their soldiers had retreated during the night, carrying their wounded and leaving their dead behind. Vorak had been taken prisoner and was locked in a holding cell beneath the colony. He had not spoken a word since his defeat. The survivors came out of their shelters slowly, like animals emerging after a storm. They looked at the destruction around them. They saw the bodies of their enemies scattered in the streets. And they wept. Not tears of sadness. Tears of relief. They were alive. Against all odds, they were alive. Kang Taeho sat alone on a pile of rubble near the edge of the city. His body was wrapped in bandages. His ribs were cracked. His left arm was in a sling. He should have been in a hospital bed, but he wanted to see the sunrise. Yuna found him there an hour later. She sat down beside him without saying anything. They watched the light spread across the valley together. "How are you feeling?" she finally asked. "Old," Taeho said. "Tired. You saved these people. We saved these people. I did not do it alone." Yuna smiled. "No, you did not." They sat in silence for a while longer. Then Yuna spoke again. "What happens now? The Earth fleet is on its way. Admiral Jisoo sent a message. She wants to talk to you." Taeho nodded slowly. "I know what she wants. She wants to give me my rank back. Put me in command of a ship. Make me a symbol for the military." "Is that what you want?" Taeho looked at the sunrise. The light was warm on his scarred face. 15 years ago, I was a weapon. I killed because it was the only thing I knew how to do. I survived because I did not care if I lived or died. That is not a life. That is an existence. He turned to look at Yuna. I do not want to be a weapon anymore. I do not want to be a symbol. I just want to be a man who hauls cargo and drinks bad coffee and argues with his engineer about broken engines. Yuna laughed softly. The engines are not that broken. They are always broken. She smiled. For the first time since she had met him, she saw something human in his eyes, not the cold, empty stare of a legend, just a tired man who wanted peace. The Earth fleet arrived at noon. A dozen warships entered orbit around New Busan. Dropships descended carrying supplies, medical teams, and soldiers. The colony, which had been dying a day ago, suddenly buzzed with activity and hope. Admiral Jesu came down on the last dropship. She was a tall woman in her 50s with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had known Taiho 20 years ago, when they were both young soldiers with dreams of glory. She found him in the makeshift hospital, watching doctors treat the wounded. Taiho, she said. He turned. Jisoo, you look terrible. You look old. She almost smiled. I am old. We both are. She stepped closer. The United Earth Council wants to honor you. They want to give you medals, promotions, your own command. You would be the face of human military power throughout the galaxy. No. No? Jisoo raised an eyebrow. You are not even going to think about it? I have been thinking about it for 15 years. The answer is still no. She studied his face. Why? Taiho was quiet for a moment. He looked around the hospital. At the wounded. At the doctors and nurses working to save them. At Yuna helping to organize supplies. At Seojun carrying water to thirsty patients. Because that is not what humanity needs, he said. They do not need a symbol. They do not need a legend to hide behind. They need to believe in themselves. He looked back at Jisoo. What I did at Reach 7, what I did here, I did because I had to. Because there was no one else. But look at this colony. Look at Hana, who led her people when there was no hope. Look at Yuna, who flew into a war zone on a cargo ship because she refused to let me fight alone. Look at Seojun, a Drath who turned against everything he knew because he believed in something better. His voice grew stronger. That is the real story. Not one man, not one legend. Thousands of people choosing to stand when it would be easier to run. That is what the galaxy should fear. Not me, all of humanity, together. Jisoo listened in silence. When he finished, she nodded slowly. You have changed, she said. I hope so. She held out her hand. Take care of yourself, old friend, and if you ever change your mind, the offer stands. Taiho shook her hand. Thank you, but I will not change my mind. Jisoo smiled. Then she turned and walked away. That afternoon, Seojun came to Taiho with a question. What will happen to me? The young Drath asked. I am a defector. I have no home, no people. Taiho looked at him. Do you want to keep running? No. I want to stay. I want to help rebuild this colony. I want to prove that Drath and humans can live together. That will not be easy. People here have lost family to your kind. They will not trust you. I know. But I have to try. Taiho nodded. Then stay. Work hard. Show them who you really are. Trust is built slowly, one day at a time. Seojun bowed his head. Thank you. For everything. Do not thank me. Thank yourself. You chose to be different. That takes more courage than fighting. Seojun's 4 eyes glistened with emotion. He turned and walked toward the colony, toward his new life. Taiho watched him go. For the first time in a long time, he felt something like hope. That evening, the quiet moon prepared to leave. Taiho stood in the cargo bay, checking the supplies they had loaded. Yuna was at the controls, running diagnostics. Everything was ready. But before they could leave, Hana came to say goodbye. You are really leaving? She asked. My work here is done. The fleet will protect you now. Your work? Hana shook her head. You saved us. You gave us a chance to survive. This colony exists because of you. This colony exists because of you, Taiho said. I just helped. You did the hard part. You held on when there was nothing left to hold on to. Hana was silent for a moment. Then she stepped forward and hugged him. Thank you, she whispered. Taiho hesitated. Then slowly he hugged her back. Take care of them, he said. I will. The quiet moon lifted off as the stars appeared in the sky. Taiho watched New Busan grow smaller and smaller until it was just another point of light in the darkness. Yuna came to stand beside him. So, she said, where to now? I do not know. Somewhere quiet, somewhere with bad coffee and broken engines. Yuna laughed. Sounds perfect. They stood together, looking out at the stars, the endless, beautiful darkness of space. Can I ask you something? Yuna said. Yes. All those aliens who fear you, all those stories they tell about you. Does it ever bother you, being seen as a monster? Taiho thought about it for a long time. It used to, he said. I spent years hating what I had become, hating what Reach 7 made me, but now I understand something. What? Fear fades. Stories change. What matters is not what they think of me. What matters is what I do with the time I have left. What matters is the people standing beside me. What matters is choosing kindness when revenge would be easier. He looked at Yuna. You asked me once why aliens tremble at my name. But the truth is, they should not tremble at me. They should tremble at what I represent, not one soldier, not one legend. The human spirit, the part of us that refuses to give up, the part of us that stands together when everything falls apart. His voice was quiet but strong. That is what makes them tremble. Not one human, all of humanity, standing as one. The quiet moon flew on through the stars. Behind them the story spread. Not just the story of Kang Taiho, the story of New Busan, the story of a colony that fought back, the story of a Drath who chose peace, the story of a young engineer who faced death and did not run. Across the galaxy, in 100 different languages, on 1,000 different worlds, beings told these stories to their children, and the message was always the same. Do not fear one human, fear what they inspire in each other. In a small bar on a distant space station, an old alien sat with a group of young ones. They asked him about humans. They asked if the stories were true. The old alien took a long drink. Then he leaned forward, his eyes serious. Let me tell you about a human named Kang Taiho, he said. Let me tell you about Reach 7. Let me tell you about New Busan. And when I am finished, you will understand why we do not make war with humans anymore. The young ones listened with wide eyes, and somewhere in the stars, on a small cargo ship called the Quiet Moon, a tired old soldier finally found peace. The end.